Next I'm going to talk about a angular filter. The name of the filter is filter, and it is very useful. We'll see. So this is how we use it. So similar to limit and order by, we'll use it something like this: filter. The name of the filter is filter, and some filter text. For example, the, if I type, right? So if I refresh, so I see only 3 books, and it has filtered it on the, right? So if I type Robin, so I see only 1 book. So it has filtered it because it has find Robin here. So it basically looks for the whole object, and anywhere it finds it, it will filter it out, right? So instead of hard coding the filter values, we can have a variable here, filter text, right? And something similar to here, something similar to other filter bars. We can also create a filter bar here for setting filter text. Let's call it text, and then input type equal to text, ng model equal to filter text, right? So if I refresh, so if I type the, so I see only 3 books now, right? Similarly, if I type p, so it's p is fetching it. This is fetching p from this author here in this book, and p from the title here in the last book, Lean Startup, right? If I type PA, then I get just 1 book, right? So I hope you got the idea of filter text. Similar to filter text, we can also pass it an object. If we want to have a field level filtering, then we need an object. I'll show you. Div label, let's call it fields. Input type equal to text, ng model equal to filter object dot title, right? And let's also give it a placeholder title, right? Similar to title, let's have a filtering on author, and let's give it a placeholder of author. Placeholder is basically a blur, a fading type of text which you see here, and when you type it goes away and you can type your text, right? So this will prepare a filter object, right? And if you want to use it, you pass it here, filter obj, or we can have both filters in place, filter text and filter, and after filtering with filter text, we will filter it with filter object. We can do that also. Yeah. So it fields title and author. So if I write P, so I only see Harry Potter and Lean Startup, right? I don't see the Alchemist from Paulo Coelho because it is filtering only on title now. Similarly, if I type P here, so I see only 1 book which has the writer Paulo Coelho. So this is looking for P in the author, right? So this is object filtering using the filter, and the first one was generic text filtering. So when I type P, so all the P's, anywhere it finds P comes here, right? Out of it, I can type like THE, right? So out of these 3 books which got filtered from the first filter, so these are filtered on the basis of title, right? Similar to using field objects and text, we can also filter on the basis of functions. So let me show you. So, so in the controller, let me create a filter. Scope dot, let's call it high rated equal to function. It takes a book and returns true if book dot rating greater than 3, right? Let's call it filter function as of now. If I want to use it, I'll go to index.html. So after object filtering, let me apply filter function here. If I refresh, so I see only these two books because I've hard coded the filter function. So I am able to see only Alchemist and Harry Potter, which has both the books have rating more than 3. Right? So the filter function, any filter function, if you want to use, they have to be of this format. Right? It takes a object on which filtering is done, and it returns true or false under some conditions. So we can have also we can also change the filter function dynamically. For example, uh, I can create two filter functions. Scope dot high rated and scope dot cheap. Book dot price less than 30. Right? So I have two filter functions, right? And here I can set this filter function on the press of buttons. For example, button uh, high rated ng click equal to, so filter function is a variable which gets high rated on press of this button, and similarly it gets cheap in case of press of this button. Yeah. High rated and cheap. Let's add a label also. uh, I can add functions or something. So now I see all the 4 books when I press high rated. So I see only these 2 books. When I press cheap, I see all the books because all of them are less than $30. Let's have the bar as 15. Yeah. So when I press on cheap, I see only these 2 books which are less than 15 rupees. If I press on high rated, I see only those 2 books which are high rated, right? And yeah, similar to other filters, right? So when I press on title, it becomes underlined because it adds a class active. So something similar to that, we can also add a class active. So something like ng class equal to active if filter function equal to high rated, right? And then that will add a class active and it will look different. Let me add it for you. Ng class equal to active if filter function is high rated, right? Similarly, let's add a ng class here. Filter function is same as cheap, then add the class active, right? So since this is button, then text underline won't work, so we need to change style dot css. Let's make it a dot active, and for a button which is active, let's have background color as yellow. When I press on high rated, it becomes yellow. G becomes yellow. So I know which filter is currently applied. Right. So basically all the filters are applied. So I can filter high rated. So filter something. For example, the right. So there's just one book, and then high rated is applied. So similar to high rated and cheap, you can also apply a all filter. Right. Something like if all 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 and inside book controller, let me add another function. Let's call it all, and it returns true in all the cases. Right. So if I apply so I get 3 books, and then I press high rated. So out of these 3 books, I see only one book. When I press all, so I see all the 3 books back. When I press cheap, I see only one book, which is Linux Startup, right? And then I can press all. I see all the books, right? So looks fine. So this is all about filtering in